what a passionate, incredibly emotive speech from Zelenskyy. What did you take from it?
It was indeed inspiring. It was really a spectacular speech, and it took Washington, D.C. by storm. You will have seen all of the standing ovations that he received, really from all members of Congress. It was clearly bipartisan support for him. And for anyone that watched the speech and those that will read it, he really made an impassioned plea to the American people, well, first, to thank them profusely, but also to help them to understand that the money that is being given by the United States and allies is, as he said, not charity, but it's supporting goals for justice and peace and international security that they are fighting with their lives for. So it was really inspiring, and it helped to kind of focus the lens on what's going on here, from seeing Zelenskyy the day before on the front lines in Ukraine in Bakhmut, and then flying the next day to the United States to appear before Congress speaking in English, which was clearly not easy for him, but he did a brilliant job at it. And then we juxtapose that with President Putin, who has really not left the Kremlin except perhaps to go to Belarus, and is not there at the front lines to see his troops, and is not there giving the sort of moral support that Zelenskyy has been giving. So it was quite a comparison between someone who is a global leader on the world stage and someone who is really diminished and showing weakness, and that is, of course, Putin. And I think support for him is clearly waning in Russia.
It was, Professor Graff, it was a stunning PR triumph for President Zelenskyy. How important is it, in your view, that that visit now cements firmly in the public's mind in America continued financial support for Ukraine? Because there's always a risk, isn't there, that you get fatigued, people get bored, they get fed up. Oh, we don't care about that war anymore.
You're exactly right. And that is what Putin is counting on. He can't win militarily. He can't win with the morale and the purpose of what they're doing. He can only win if our resolve weakens. And if when we get distracted and we get bored and we're not quite understanding what's going on, that is what Putin is hoping for, that winter will take fold. We've got Christmas, holidays, and people will forget about it. So it was incredibly clever for Zelenskyy to come over now, just as we're transitioning to a Republican House, and to really bolster bipartisan support and to make this impassioned plea to remind the American people and the world not to forget.
Biden was very clear to say, we're not forgetting, we really do support you. How important is that continued endorsement for then other countries, let's say us, ourselves, the UK, to then step up and say, OK, we'll follow suit?
Well, the UK has been remarkable. I think everyone recognizes the UK has really been outstanding. So to continue that support, especially with all that the UK is going through at this time, it is meaningful and it is powerful. And clearly the Prime Minister has indicated that he's supportive. There's monetary concerns, but I do think that this visit to the United States and the remarkable performance this evening will encourage the UK, the EU, all of the NATO countries to stand continuously with Ukraine until they are, as he said, victorious.
Exactly. It was the meeting between the two presidents, Professor Graffy, was 81 years to the day of Winston Churchill going to the White House to speak to Franklin D. Roosevelt. And we know the result of that was that unbreakable bond which helped win the Second World War. Biden is a keen, I think FDR Roosevelt is his political hero. He'll have been very conscious of that date, won't he?
Absolutely. And you're exactly right. FDR is his hero. That presence of Churchill at that important point in American history. Also, Nancy Pelosi, the current Speaker of the House, also mentioned the significance of the date of when Churchill had also come to make a direct appeal to the American people. So very symbolic in everything that happened. And also, you know, Zelenskyy wearing his wartime outfit was reminding us that he's not in a suit and tie because he is actually at war from the front lines yesterday to the front lines of Congress today. And he has to, that's his number one purpose now, is to keep this in the forefront of our minds, that we need to be supporting him, not for Ukraine, but for the West, for international law, for the purpose of the United Nations Charter and respect for sovereignty. And that in this day and age, you just don't invade another country.